Hello everyone, TMMgamer, and today I have the pleasure of bringing you another one of my FIFA 15 videos. Now, I've just successfully managed to sit down and record a full game of FIFA without any crashes, any frame drops or anything, so it's absolutely wonderful, wonderful news. Now, this is just a single player game. Like I've been saying, I've been having so many capture problems over the last couple of days. I've been experimenting whenever I've been recording in single player to see if it does manage to keep itself together, because the last thing you want is running at 1 frame per second for about 20 seconds online. So the fantastic news is it has worked, and it's enabled me to actually start to record some footage, which is the great news. But until there's an opportunity for me to release some more detailed individual tutorials, what I wanted to do is, because obviously it's still the first week of FIFA, I wanted to come out and give a video saying all the things that I've noticed so far, all the things that you need to be focusing on, and some little tricks and techniques to help you try and win a few more games in the first weeks and months of FIFA. So, like I mentioned already, the goalkeeping has definitely improved. One-on-ones are certainly harder to score. The keepers are much more athletic and agile. They don't respond in the same way, because basically all you had to do in the previous few FIFAs is you just run at the goal, run at a slight angle and hit it with power into the top corner, and the keeper wouldn't save it. But what's happened now is, because the keepers have been improved so much, anything around that, like in inverted commas, comfortable height for a goalkeeper, so anything around head height to waist height, the keeper saves 99 times out of 100. If you want to score with a powerful shot to the top corner, you really have to rifle it right in that top corner to score. So the first tip I want to give you is to help out with your finishing. The most consistent technique I have found for finishing so far is a little tap into the bottom corner. And you saw the goal I've just conceded there, and you saw the goal I scored with Remy straight off the bat. Bottom corner with a little bit of power. Placement, though, is much more important. You go and you can finesse it, but if the guy doesn't have great finesse, just hit a normal lacy shot into the bottom corner, and that is the most efficient way I've seen of scoring one-on-one so far. Like I mentioned, you're not going to score all of them. I think the stat in real life is only 1 out of every 3 one-on-ones is scored in real life, and in the previous FIFAs it was like 8 out of every 10 one-on-ones. If you did what you were supposed to do as a striker in FIFA, you'd score. So it's definitely swung the other way, but that is definitely an easier way to score. Corners. Now, it did take me a little bit of time to figure out the corners, but the great thing that I've managed to figure out now is if you hit down on the D-pad, it brings up a little mini menu of set piece options you can take for corners, and the one that I've had by far the most success with is near post run. You see me have a few good chances with corners this game. I've scored a few corners already. What you do is you hit down on the D-pad, it sends your attackers on a near post run. It ends up being normally a big striker who runs, and what he normally does is he pulls a defender out the way. So even if he himself doesn't win the header, it creates space in behind. And what you want to do is you want to aim for roughly, say you were hitting an outswinging corner with a left-footed player. You want to be aiming for just inside the 6-yard box. You want to be having full curl, so that's 90-degree curl, and hit it with about 1/3 power on the power bar to swing that out, and a little bit of finesse here and there, depending on whether your player's got 90 curve or 70 curve. You know, adjust it either way, depending on what player you're taking the kick with. And that has been the most effective way so far for me to have a good amount of success with corners. So those are 2 little tips straight away to help you score goals. Because the thing that I've definitely noticed so far with this FIFA is that I create a lot of chances but struggle to score goals. And this game's a good example of that. See, again, I score because of a rebound. You're trying to move the keeper around. I'm trying to slot it in the bottom corner. I think that goal actually took a deflection off the defender, then hit the goalkeeper, and then dropped to my striker. So got a little bit fortunate there. But again, keeping the shots low, scoring goals, it does make it a little bit easier to do that. The shots from outside the area are still powerful. They really are still powerful. I score an absolute belter with Marko Arnautovic later on in the game. I hit the bar with him before that from distance, and Arnautovic is not renowned for his long range bullets. If you were hitting a shot with a Messi or an Ibrahimovic or a Gerrard or any of those sorts of players, this ball is going to zip into the top corner. It really, really is, and I've scored already a couple of pingers. So, especially now considering that finishing and one-on-ones are more difficult, it is worth having long shots. And that's something that I always have done in FIFA Ultimate Team. I always enjoy playing Ultimate Team, trying to score really good goals. That's why I didn't like pace tramping so much, because it was just one long hack up field and then you just ran onto it and slotted in because finishing was so easy. Now it definitely rewards people who can pass and move and take some shots from distance. That shot was going very, very close from Loic Remy there, but again a good block from the defender. You know, taking long shots is definitely worthwhile, because especially now that there's a relatively reasonably reliable, and what a shocking miss from Loic Remy that is, but now that there's actually a reasonably reliable way to create a few chances from corners, having a few long shots is definitely worth it, because then it will increase the amount of corners you can have, and then from there you can create more chances and score more goals in an easier style than having to battle away with the finishing. So those are a few of the little tips. One thing which I am glad they have changed is heading. Heading has been really noticeably reworked, both attacking and defensive heading. What happened in the previous FIFAs was basically the AI would take over. Now, I have always played with manual auto switch on, so I always want to manually change my players around, because I feel the game never does it sensibly enough for me, so I always like to do that. But in previous FIFAs, what would happen, even if you turn that off, when you switch to a guy who was under the ball, most of the time they'd sort of just run in the general direction, at least be in a position to compete for the header. And that meant that it required very little finesse when you were playing an attacking style that relied on crosses, because you could basically just knock it down the flank, you could put a ball into the box, as long as it was in a rough area of your striker would definitely get on the end of it. Or even if he didn't get on the end of it, he would compete in a reasonable and effective manner against the centre-back, and it would be, you know, an aerial challenge. Now you have to be so much more precise with your crosses. You really have to put that cross in your striker's head, and if you do that, you can score goals with headers. I score a headed goal in this game. I think I hit the bar with Remy with a header in a little bit. You know, headers are definitely viable, but you have to be better at crossing. And I've always felt it's much better to underhit the cross in this FIFA, because there's been times when I've tried to just whack a cross into the back post. You know, the standard FIFA 14 cross, when you hit it with a bit of power and dip to the far post, and then you try and head it back across the keeper into the far corner, and that doesn't come off as often. A lot more success I feel that I've had from near post crosses, and sorry, the grammar from that was just absolutely atrocious. Let's try and say that again in a proper English sentence. I've had a lot more success from crossing to the near post. There we go, that wasn't very hard, was it? But it seriously has been so much more effective for me, just putting a little floated cross into the near post and having a big guy run onto it. And that's how I score my header in this game with Wilfred Bonney. I come storming into a nice little hung up cross to the near post, and he bullets the header in very, very effectively. So again, another change. One change as well that I did mention briefly in my first impressions video, but that has certainly been reinforced the more I've played this game, is just how so much slicker the passing is. It's so nice. And for being a player who enjoys knocking the ball around and trying to score decent goals, the fact that my defenders and my midfielders have a much better first touch, because that was one of the things that really, you know, was a massive block on passing strategies in the previous FIFA, was that the first touch mechanic was a little bit fiddly. So if you were slightly unlucky, or was slightly too early on the power button, or slightly too early on the pace button, so you're holding sprint down, your defender would just all of a sudden hammer the ball into the stands for no reason, or podge it forward 20 metres in front of him and lose the ball. The first touch mechanic is so much slicker, but that's not to say it's overpowered or bad. You can still have bad touches with players, but I feel it's a lot more realistic. When a player's absolutely hammering it down the wing, or the ball is absolutely fired at him, then it's more likely for him to have a bad touch. But in the previous FIFA, you'd roll just a nice little gentle pass, you wouldn't hit it very hard, and the guy would just completely miscontrol it. And I feel that 100% complete miscontrol is gone now. And there again, you see the example of the header, the nice little chipped cross. And that header was from a long way out. That was about probably 12 yards away. So that's not a point-blank header by any stretch of the imagination. But as you see with the highlight here, I just hang that ball up and get Bonney to run onto it, win the header. Easy goal from across there. But again, it needs a little bit more finesse. In a previous FIFA, I could have just whacked the ball in the box. Bonney would have just muscled his way through and then headed it in. Easy peasy. But now you do definitely need a little bit more finesse on those. So, nice little segue to show you that headed goal. But it's really refreshing to be able to ping the ball around, and I've actually got a decent team now, a really decent team, and I'll probably do a video just talking about my Ultimate Team squad in a little bit, and I'm definitely going to be doing some live commentary, so you'll see plenty of this team. But I've already got a very solid Premier League goal team, so I've got like Krul in goal, Sanya, I've got Sacco and Vlaar at the back, I've got Jose Enrique at full back, I've got Ramsey in the central defensive midfield role, I've got Philippe Coutinho in the attacking midfield role, I've got Arnautovic on the left, Valencia on the right, and then up front I've got Bonnie and Remy. So it's a really well balanced team. It's got a nice bit of pace, but it's got a lot of people who are good on the ball. It's got good width, good hard working wingers as well in Valencia. I do like Valencia on this game because he's not blisteringly quick, but he's pacey and he works hard and he can put a challenge in, which is some of the things I like in this team. And I've been playing a 4-1-2-1-2 formation with the right and left mid as opposed to the two centre mids. That's the other variation of formation you can get. And I've had a lot of success with it so far. I've only lost one game, and the game I lost was when I had about a 70 chemistry team. I still had a couple of bronze guys floating around, and I ran into a quite a serious La Liga side, and he beat me 3-1. So that's fair enough. And this is the thing that I've been enjoying in this FIFA so far. There hasn't been a time yet, and my friend mentioned this actually, saying, oh, this is the honeymoon period of FIFA, and it definitely is. There hasn't been a time yet when I've conceded a goal or made a mistake or lost a game and thought that's complete BS, that's completely the game screwing me over. A lot of that will be because the game is still incredibly new and we haven't had a large enough sample of data to really figure out what's overpowered and really figure out what the problems are. So the more I play, I'm sure there will be things I pick up on that I'm not a fan of. It's a game, it's not going to be perfect, but from what I've seen so far, it is a massive step up on the previous FIFA. It's dealt with a lot of things that a lot of people thought were overpowered. It's made a lot of underpowered techniques more viable again. It's really reworked the goalkeepers, it's reworked the first touch mechanic. It's done a lot of good work so far, and it's run flawlessly for me at the moment. The only problem I've had with the game is because of the capture software I've been running. Whenever I've just run the game normally, there's been no problems with it. The frame rate has been exceptional. It looks really nice. The gameplay has been slick. I've had no connection problems online so far. I know a couple of people have said that they've had problems online, but the thing you've got to bear in mind is this is release day, release week FIFA. There will be, no exaggeration, millions of people playing this game. It's a hugely popular game around the world. So if you have the occasional game when the server drops out, yeah, it is frustrating. It definitely is frustrating. But in the grand scheme of things, I think they've done pretty well on launch. There have been launch FIFAs which have just been basically unplayable online because you could not physically connect to a game, and on the rare occurrence you did, it would just lag to balls and crash about 40 minutes in. So at least that isn't happening. Look on the bright side. There's been occasional problems for some people, which there will be. Obviously there will be. But the key is now is if EA and FIFA are on top of it. If they kick it out in a couple of weeks, everyone will forget about it. But there are FIFAs, and there have been FIFAs, with quite incessant connection problems. But fortunately I haven't seen that so far, and that's a cracking effort from Arnautovic. Again, that's the one I hit the post on, obviously. The goal's actually coming up quite soon with him, I think. So definitely keep an eye out for that one. In fact, I think it might be this move. But one thing as well that I do want to talk about on the defensive side of things is that it is much, much more likely for a free kick or a penalty to be given. The number of free kicks and penalties that I have seen in this FIFA has gone up astronomically compared to the previous FIFAs. Before, you actually had to either run into the guy or just completely clean the guy out for a free kick to happen online. And when you were playing against the AI, free kicks would basically never happen. They would really very incredibly rarely happen. And one of the things that I do like is because the physics engine is that more sophisticated this year, they've added so many more player animations for coming togethers. So I've had a lot more realistic looking fouls. So, for example, I had Loic Remy. He just shifted the ball to his left foot, he knocked it past the defender, and the defender's caught him knee to knee and he's gone down for a free kick. And that sort of thing didn't happen in FIFA 14. He'd basically either just brush past him, or the guy would just check him, and the referee sometimes wouldn't even give an advantage. So I definitely think they've sharpened that up. There's been one ridiculous decision I've noticed so far when the guy has gone down with nobody near him and he's given a penalty. And this was a penalty for me, so this is not me being gripey and moaning. You know, my striker's just gone through, gone down, and me and my friend are actually looking at it and go, is there a dive button in this game? Have we pressed that accidentally? But, you know, it was pretty bad, and that's the Arnautovic goal. Pretty good strike, that one. But that's the only thing I've really noticed which I've gone, that was a bit strange. Apart from that, the game's been pretty slick. So, overall, first week impressions, keep your shots low, use near post run on corners, have a couple of long shots, keep passing and moving the ball around because the dribbling's definitely better. Skill moves and winning free kicks online is definitely a very valid technique. I've already scored a couple of blinding free kicks. They've definitely made it easier. I thought in the previous FIFA it was too easy. Too hard, sorry, because in like FIFA 10, FIFA 11, FIFA 12, it was ludicrously easy to score a free kick, and I mean ludicrously easy. I would step up for a free kick within 40 yards and expect to score. That's how easy it was. You could just, within 25 yards, you would score pretty much every free kick with somebody reasonable. And obviously that was too easy. But what they did in FIFA 13 and FIFA 14 was they swung it a bit too far the other way when it was a little too hard to score free kicks from a reasonable shooting distance. And I think they've got the balance quite nicely here. You know, I've hit the bar from like a 40-yard pinger, but then again I've also stuck some 40-yard pingers into row Z, which is quite realistic. I've scored a couple of free kicks from like 30 yards. I've scored a free kick from 25 yards in Messi when I've just like curled into the top corner. Beautiful little finesse shot. So it's definitely doable. But I wouldn't rely on you to get free kicks to win games, but it's always very, very nice when you step up within about 35 yards and go, do you know, I have a reasonable opportunity to score this free kick. Because it was getting to the stage on previous FIFAs where it was like, well, I'm just going to pass this because this is not going to go in. You know, it's very, very unlikely to go in. Especially when you use the goalkeeper trick and you move the goalkeeper to the centre, so it shifted him and the wall over. You know, if the guy had done that, it was very, very hard to beat the keeper from more than like 20 yards because you put this nice free kick into the top corner and the keeper would just reach it all the time. So even if you did hit a really nice free kick, it would still be quite unlikely for you to score that. So it is nice they've swung it a little bit the other way now. But guys, that's pretty much the end of the video. I really hope you've enjoyed listening to it. A few useful tips in there. I'd like to take this opportunity to ask you guys what you want your priority tutorials to be, because obviously there's a huge amount of stuff for me to cover. The new FIFA's come out, there is so much that's changed, there's a vast array of tutorials I could do. The ones that I've immediately sprung to mind was a basic finishing tutorial, so I'll be expanding on the technique that I've mentioned briefly in this video. There's a crossing and heading tutorial, because obviously the way that's changed. There's an early formation tutorial option. So I've been playing 4-on-2-on-2 and having a lot of success with it, so I could talk about how that works in the new FIFA. There's the basic team tutorials. I'm not going to forget about them with a few seasons modes, so if any of them sound like they're up your street and you want to see that first, definitely leave me a comment. I will be listening and reading to all of them. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.